Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Early Career Academic and this is my third vlog for Vlogmas. I decided to show you some behind the scenes of how I prepare for a holiday party. I will say I did a pretty good job of capturing some of the pre-party preparation, some of the preparation in the days before the party and some the day of. It didn't go exactly as I planned. You'll see I was kind of counting party tips and miscounted and then stopped counting. It is what it is. So I just hope you enjoy watching some of these clips strung together over some music. Hope it helps inspire your holiday parties. I would love to know if you guys are throwing holiday parties. So what do you do to prepare for them? You know, any advice or tips that you have for people watching this video or myself. Love to hear about your December holiday party plans, and I hope you guys are staying safe out there, and please enjoy this video. I wanted to talk about how I begin the process of planning for a party. Sorry, it's a little shaky. And the first step is, of course, thinking about the nature of the party, the theme of the party. Sometimes it's really evident, you know, a holiday party is a holiday party. Thankfully, you don't have to do a lot beyond decorate your house and make a lot of food. In this case, my mother decided to make it a vintage holiday party. So she's thinking mid-century modern, kind of 50s, 60s vibe, which definitely affects all other aspects of the party. So with that knowledge, what I did is I began by kind of looking at Pinterest and talking to her what she remembers from when she was young. And luckily Pinterest has a lot of good ideas too. And then from that, I create a menu. So I'll show you that now. So here is a document that I pulled together for every party that I ever do, and the first bit is deciding on the menu. So this looks like a lot, but most of this is stuff that you can just assemble. So that's a really good party tip that I picked up from my favorite party person, which is Ina Garten, or Barefoot Contessa, as some of you know her. And so only some of this requires some actual cooking on my part, and most of it, almost all of it, I can make ahead of time or even like days in advance if I want to. A lot of this stuff is also stuff that I'm very familiar with. I've made before, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. It doesn't overwhelm me to look at this list. Like for example, the cheese ball we may just buy. Of course I can make one, but they sell cheese balls. I don't think cheese balls are everyone's sort of favorite thing to eat, especially the kind you pick up in the store. However, it is a nostalgia thing. It is pretty much what it was from the 60s, so we might do that. I am making my own Jell-O though, because I do not want to make a 60s version of a Jell-O salad. It's going to be a sweet Jell-O with raspberries in it and Prosecco. Excited about that. Pigs in blankets, super easy. Just throw the meat into the dough, pop it in the oven. Deviled eggs, I can do that with my eyes closed. Love them. Everyone loves them. They're almost the first thing to disappear off of any party platter. So I may show you my secret recipe of how to make deviled eggs in this vlog. Swedish meatballs. I buy the meatballs. However, I do make the Swedish sauce. So these go into a slow cooker with the sauce on top, and there you go. Presto, it's ready. Don't have to think about it for the rest of the night. Fondue. Probably the hardest thing on this menu is that, but really that's not that hard. You prepare it in a sauce pot, pour it into a fondue pot with a candle or sterno can underneath it, and just throw out some things to dip into the fondue. Shrimp cocktail. Super easy. Put the shrimp on some ice, add some cocktail sauce. Stuffed olives that just go in a bowl for people to help themselves. Crudité is probably where I deviate a little from the norm. I don't buy the existing crudité options at the store. I like to get things that people actually like to eat. So I get like actual carrots and I cut them up into strips, and I get red bell peppers, again, cut those into strips. Green beans that are lightly steamed in the bag and then popped onto a platter. Like I prefer, like, if we're going to have raw veg, that it's stuff that people actually want to eat and not like gross cauliflower with brown spots all over it. Nuts and potato chips, always good to have at parties, just scattered around the room so people can nosh even if they're not near the buffet. And again, just keeping kind of stomachs full and appetites whetted is just a good idea. Pineapple, the reason that's on there and kind of randomly situated is because I'm going to carve the pineapple meat out of the skin of the pineapple and then put it back in, but chopped up so people can eat it. It is a 60s thing, so that's why I'm doing it that way. Petit four and the cookies, I'm gonna probably just buy those because I don't have a lot of time to make them, which is fine. Ambrosia, super 60s. My mom loves it. I'm going to actually, instead of make a bowl of it, I'm going to serve it in little plastic cups so people can just grab and eat. I think that's good for this kind of thing so that they don't feel like they have to get a separate plate to scoop the ambrosia onto it. It's more likely people will eat it if they can just grab it. Bourbon balls, always a hit. Bread and butter is, I swear to God, my secret weapon at parties, y'all. Like, people don't, when they come to your house, they don't necessarily want you to put on like this crazy elaborate thing. They just want like good stuff that they themselves probably don't eat on a regular basis. And bread and butter is probably one of those things. It seems really basic, but like, that's why we kind of like it at restaurants when we're served bread and butter. Good butter and good bread. And it's also a good filler item. It helps like potentially alleviate some of the over drinking that happens because it fills you up. And I have the most adorable Christmas tree butters, so they're like molded butters that I can buy at my grocery store. And then the rest of the stuff is like for the 60s theme, we're doing a variety of cocktails. So there will be cocktail supplies. Then I go ahead and from this list, I extrapolate what groceries I need. Sometimes I have to go look at what I have, but often when I'm hosting a party at my mom's, I just err on the side of caution and I literally put everything down, regardless of whether or not we either of us have a version of it already. Because I can't always depend on her having the same things I have in my fridge or my pantry, and also that they'll be there by the time the party is actually happening. At the end, I will throw some quick recipes of stuff that I don't make all the time, that I don't necessarily remember the amounts of or like the instructions for. So that's these two things. Everything else I can do without instruction, but these two, the punch and the fondue, I don't make those all the time. So I put those here so that I have this document. And then as I am preparing for the party, I check off the items. I might scribble notes on here, or sometimes I flip it over and I make like a little schedule for myself so that I can like time everything correctly. But this party kind of a lot of it's assembly, so it doesn't require as much timing. Then I also make a list of all the things I need to remember to bring from my house to my mom's house. This is huge because it just sucks having to be there and then all of a sudden be like, oh my God, I forgot the thing that I need to make this thing. So this is a good handy list for me. So that is how I get ready for the party. Sometimes weeks, sometimes days ahead of the party. I've had this menu, this list of groceries for at least a couple weeks now. Just put together the list of the things I have to take over to my mom's. But that's that, and you're all caught up. So stay tuned for some more Vlogmas party prepping. So it is 2 days before the party, and I wanted to do a couple of things that really go off better if you do them ahead. I mean, there's some things you just absolutely must do by the day before if you're going to do what I'm doing. But just a couple days out, it's kind of nice because then if I have other day before prep, then it's done. The first thing, and I'll show you guys, I'll flip the camera, is a Jell-O. Yes, this is a vintage party, so we decided to do a Jell-O. But unlike maybe the Jell-O you're picturing from the 60s, it is tasty. It has Prosecco in it and raspberries, so it is a tasty Jell-O. But of course, those things are best done early and then unmolded right before the party is about to start. You can, of course, make it the morning of. Jell-O doesn't take that long to set. It's like 4 hours tops. So, obviously you don't have to do this far ahead. The other things, though, that definitely need to be done the day before, and I learned this the hard way, are if you're having any large ice molds of any kind. So I'm going to show you those too, because I have a large ice ball that's going into a punch, and two ice trays, which sounds weird, but it's what the shrimp are going to set on for the shrimp cocktail. So I know that sounds like a little extra, but I just thought I'd give it a try. I mean, how hard is it to pour water into a tray and set some shrimp on it? So I'm giving it a go, and I'm going to show you what they look like now. Okay, here's the Jell-O. You can see jiggling. it is all set, and what I will do is I will dip it into some warm water before the party to loosen it, and then I will tip it onto a platter. So hopefully I get a vlog of that so you guys can see it later. Now for the ice, ignore how horrible my freezer is. Here's the ice ball that's going into the punch. I wish I had a sturdier thing to set it on because you can see it kind of like tipped over here, but whatever. This is just because then it keeps the punch nice and cool, and then when it melts it will just put these cranberries into the punch. No big deal, because those are edible even though they're not ideally edible unless they're cooked. And then here is one of the trays, and as you can see I also put little like rosemaries and cranberries into the top of it once it had kind of partially frozen, and that's just to give it a festive look, but you don't have to do that. The shrimps are going to sit on top of it, and that way it keeps the shrimp cocktail cool and also looks kind of styling. So that is all the pre-prep that I'm going to do for the party. I've also gone and gathered together some like things I'll need, like platter, so that I don't forget about anything. I need to bring some of my own equipment to my mom's house because she doesn't have everything that I will need for the party. And so I try not to like bring too many things, but my deviled egg platters are a must. Like they hold the deviled eggs in place and they just look really pretty. Stuff like that. So that's all the pre-prep that I do. And then hopefully I will capture some additional day of prep that'll be interesting for you, and then of course some shots of the party. So stay tuned, that's coming up. Okay, party prep tip number 1 is to get as much done ahead of time as possible so you can enjoy your own party. So that has taken some trial and error over the years, because of course you don't want everything tasting horrible by the time the party starts, but there are some shortcuts you can take to prep. Everything takes longer than you think it's going to, so the more you can do ahead of time, the better. For example, opening napkins and plates, cutting all your bread and storing it in Ziploc bags, and even cutting veggies that you're going to use for like crudité or fondue. Now I know you might be thinking like, don't want to cut apples ahead of time because they'll brown, but that is where this beauty comes in handy. A little citric acid or a little lemon juice on them and they will look beautiful by the time the party starts. Just be kind of thinking about what you can do to make it easier on yourself so that you have time. And I honestly do so much ahead that I'm able to kind of put my feet up before the party, relax a little, have a drink to myself, just kind of like get in the mood, so that I'm not like rushing around and sweating and everything like that. Party tip number 2 is when you're getting a little flustered, stop and have a beverage. Cheers. Party tip number 2, buy desserts. If you're throwing a huge party with a lot of elements, the last thing you want to do is make everything from scratch. So here we got a couple of snowballs, some sugar cookies, some cute little Christmas Little Debbies and Rice Krispie treats. And this is actually leftover from a gift someone gave us, so we're just super classy over here. I also forgot to mention that I filmed a little bit of the party I had at my own house. The clips you just saw were clips from me helping my mother host her holiday party. which has a lot more space than my house does. So these final clips are just two little ones to show you how I host a party in my own small space. No party tips or anything. This was just sort of me taking a few shots of the party before everyone arrived. So I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching.
My true love gave to me 12 drummers drumming, 11 pipers piping, 10 lords of leaping, 9 ladies waiting, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5